Thank you very much. Well, I don't know how good my powers of persuasion will be. We are in a fascinating sector. And 15 years ago, when I started investing in this sector, I had one question on my mind, which is it possible for investors, private investors, to make money in the junior resource sector? The answer, from my experience, is yes. But you do have to invest, I think, for the easiest route to profitability at the time when the markets are horrible, at the time when the shares are lowly valued, and when the confidence is on the floor. And I would wager that we're in that zone now. So, Power Metal Resources. We are an AIM-listed company with the ticker POW. This is our disclaimer. If you'd like to read that in detail, probably won't give you enough time, but there we are. We have recognized, I think, in our business over the last 4 years that there is immense opportunity out there in the world. It's been a difficult 4 years. It's enabled us over that period to accumulate a range of resource exploration and development interests and investments at a time when most people weren't bothered. Now, I know we had the COVID dip in the markets, followed by a resurgent sector with share prices flying through the roof almost everywhere. But that was just one phase. And for much of the last 4 years, it's been a difficult, challenging environment. It's been our hunting ground. It's important, I think, as a private investor, and I'm certainly one of those as well as a CEO of a company, that we position ourselves for an upswing in our space because we are in a cyclical environment. Extreme lows, which I think we have at the moment, yield extreme highs. And you have to invest in projects as a company and also in investments as a private investor at a time when it feels deeply worrying to do so. You have to be ready. Power Metal has a range of projects across the globe and a range of investments. We'll take you through them shortly. They cover various metals, strategic, critical metals in different parts of the world. But we have a focus on making sure that you as a shareholder receives proper returns from your investment. There is risk in investing in any resource company. And that return is through capital appreciation with the share price rising, and that's our primary focus. But also once we've achieved our objectives and we've generated significant value, distributing that value where we can through to shareholders is quite important. Here's our board of directors, a strange looking bunch, I'm sure you'll agree. I'm a chartered accountant. I've spent much of my working life in accountancy, in forensic accountancy specifically. And over the last 15 years, I've been focused on investing and for the last 10 years on running various natural resource companies, mainly focused in the UK. This is our capital structure. One of the most important things for tonight is that I'm not talking merely as CEO, where shareholders troop up and pay my salary. That's not my focus. I'm the largest shareholder in the business. Over the last 4 years, I've repeatedly invested cash money, real money in the company. No fee offset or anything unusual. As a director, I've put the cash into the business. And as a result of that, I hold 4.57% of the company, and I have further exposure through options and warrants. For me, share price performance is the most important thing, which makes me aligned with shareholders. A salary is important for us to, of course, live day to day. My big windfall comes when the share price flies, which is the focus of my work each and every day. I don't want to talk in this presentation merely about hope, optimism, what might possibly happen down the line. I want to talk about the things we have today. It's important as a junior resource company that you are funded and financed. Now, the normal model is that you simply go out there, raise capital in placings. Often they're deeply discounted and it's very distressing for shareholders. Not a great place to be. You spend that money and then you go back for more, and then you spend that money and then you go back for more. In our business, we've wanted to build our balance sheet to move us towards financial self-sustainability so that we can fund and finance our own operations and distribute to shareholders. We've done that by building a portfolio, some of which we'll talk through tonight, that's quite large and diverse around the globe, and taking elements of that portfolio for disposal through various mechanisms so that we hold investments, ever increasing number of investments with an ever increasing value, or such is our objective. On the screen, you'll see some of our current listed investments, including First Class Metals, which is a quite unique company focused on the Schreiber-Hemlo Greenstone Belt in Canada. We sold our project portfolio in the Hemlo Schreiber into First Class Metals in 2021. And as a result of that, today we hold just under 28% of that company. That's listed in London with the ticker FCM. We recently sold a stake in a Botswana joint venture back to our joint venture partner, Kavango. That deal has crystallized, and we now hold just under 10% of Kavango Resources, listed in London with the ticker KAV. Those two investments alone on our balance sheet are worth circa £4 million. It doesn't take long to get to the point of financial self-sustainability, and we're building towards it. We also have a junior resource fund where we invest in other undervalued resource juniors across the financial markets, not just in the UK. Now, we want to build on that, make that bigger, make that stronger and more valuable. One of the ways we're doing that is by taking project packages from within our very large and diverse business and creating new IPO opportunities, mainly focused on London. If the Canadian markets have thousands of resource companies and the Australian markets have hundreds of resource opportunities, the London market is a poor third with probably less than 100 serious resource investment opportunities in listed markets. These are 4 of our proposed planned IPOs. They're the ones that are closer, shall we say, to listing than others that we're working on in the background. Golden Metal Resources is ready to go. The work has been done. The pre-IPO process is long and is painful, but we have that vehicle ready to go, and we just need to complete the final ticks in the box, including the IPO financing and also the just the final 1 or 2 administration steps that can lead to that listing. That's a vehicle focused on Nevada, USA. It includes 4 projects. Pilot Mountain, which is the largest known undeveloped tungsten resource in the United States in Nevada. We also have Golconda, which is targeting Carlin-style gold discoveries. Again, a project focused on Nevada with significant blue sky upside potential. And Garfield and Stonewall, 2 additional precious and base metal exploration properties. So a mixture of development opportunity combined with blue sky exploration. First Development Resources, which is focused on Western Australia and the Northern Territory. Projects that are targeting gold and copper in Western Australia and uranium, rare earths and lithium in the Northern Territory. That package is nearing completion in terms of its IPO preparations, and we hope, because I have to say hope or planned, will be on the markets in the not too distant future. And we're working hard to accelerate that process right now. We also have New Ballarat Gold, which is focused on Victoria and the Victoria Goldfields in Australia. This is a package including circa 2,300 square kilometres of granted licenses. The vast majority now is granted, and some applications. Within the footprint of our licensed ground are 2 former high-grade working mines that have produced hundreds of thousands of ounces of high-grade gold. Quite some time ago, this area was very active 100 years ago before the prospectors and miners moved over to Kalgoorlie, leaving behind what we feel is a rather dramatic remaining gold endowment, and that's what we're targeting with New Ballarat Gold. An immense opportunity, similar in size, scale and potential to Fosterville South, which listed 2 years ago on the Canadian markets and saw a rather dramatic increase in share price and valuation. And then finally, uranium energy exploration, where we have vended 2 of our uranium properties. We'll come to that shortly, in the Athabasca Basin area of Saskatchewan, Canada. And we have a vehicle which is looking to list in the London capital markets in the not too distant future. So that's 4 potential value generators for the power metal business based on the portfolio of projects that we've built over the last 4 years, a very large portfolio where we're spinning out or disposing of certain interests to create value. From our perspective, at the moment, those interests are valued in our balance sheet at cost. But as they enter the financial markets, they will then be marked to market. And we expect our vehicles to rise in value materially as they list on the market, which is good, making shareholders money, but also increasing the valuation of our holdings in those companies. And very quickly, if we're successful, we could see a rather dramatic valuation uplift of our balance sheet at the same time. We're also building a portfolio of royalties across our business. As we do disposals and various other activities within the company, we see a strong, robust royalty portfolio is vital as we move into a increasing performance space in the junior resource sector. At the moment, we have the 2 confirmed royalties for Kanye and New Ballarat Gold Corporation. There are 2 royalties within uranium energy exploration subject to listing and transaction completion, and there will, I expect, be more as we move forward, and this could become quite a significant part of our investment portfolio. So those are some of the investments. We're building the value, the balance sheet, the type of asset that we can sell in the future after any relevant lock-in periods, and there will be plenty of those, and also that can really build the underlying safety, security and financial strength of our business as we move along. Now moving on to the projects, and this is a bit where most companies normally start, but this is power metal, and we have more than just exploration hopes. Here's our global map where our projects are situated, and you'll notice it's focused on 3 continents: North America, Africa and Australia. We are absolutely focused on the world's main highly prospective, secure territories around the world. That has been where this business has moved over the last 4 years, and that's where we will continue to focus our activities going forward. I wanted to put up a number of different projects, and we have many to choose from. But this one today is particularly relevant, Malopo Farms Complex, a project that's been running for many years, and Power Metal has had an interest since 2019. Recently, we completed a transaction to increase our ownership interest in this project to just under 88%. We did that for a reason, because over the years, the work that we've undertaken at Malopo Farms, targeting nickel and PGE's platinum group elements, has delivered very positive findings as each step has been taken forward. And we felt it was time to acquire a larger percentage, so we bought out many of the other shareholders in the local holding company. We're recently we've recently started a 2,600 meter drill program, a diamond drill program, and that's going to comprise 5 holes, of which we've completed 3, and 1 is currently underway with a final balancing hole to be done shortly. We've had some great news out today at this property, where we've been able to demonstrate across a number of different targets some quite compelling progress. In hole T13, which is the focus of the announcement today, we've identified the target commodity in the drill core, which is nickel sulfides. And we're currently working to complete that hole down to target depth, or possibly deeper down, depending on the results. As with many of our projects, Malopo is large in scale. It's 1,723 square kilometers of ground, across which, over the years, many targets have been developed. We're focused on 4 priority targets at the moment. there may well be many more. It is without question a majors project, and Power Metal is not yet a major, but it has drawn significant interest over the years. And as with many of our projects and many of our peers in the sector, this type of large district scale opportunity is increasingly drawing the interest of larger organizations. So we push on at pace. We're looking for a large scale nickel PGE discovery. We're currently undertaking technical core review. We have already over 1,800 meters of core to examine. We've already prepared initial samples that are at the labs and for the assay testing process, which will help us determine the metal content. And from hole T13, we've undertaken XRF readings, which have confirmed the nickel presence and given us an indication of what might be there. So we're working to get those assay results as quickly as possible and to move this project forward at pace. We're doing that because in the world in general, there is a major problem. There isn't enough critical metal around. There hasn't been an investment in building new pipeline of nickel exploration, nickel mining, and now we're left with a world that wants dramatic amounts of various commodities, including nickel, but there isn't the pipeline in place to supply it. So we are perfectly positioned. If we can find a major discovery of nickel PGEs in Molopo, it will be a very valuable project, and we don't necessarily have to go that pathway alone. It's not just nickel in Botswana. We also have gold in the Tati Greenstone Belt. You often find in difficult market conditions that there's not an awful lot of investment in certain areas, and there are immense opportunities. And we find that with the Tati Greenstone Belt, heavily underexplored, tremendous prospectivity and potential. And we have one such project at Tati with an 8-kilometer gold in soil anomaly, where we've tested the northwest and the southeast, and we found very high grade and bonanza grade gold at both those edges of this 8-kilometer anomaly. We recently undertook a drill program with 490 meters, getting my meterage mixed up, covering 175 meters of this 8-kilometer anomaly. We found high grade and bonanza gold. We clearly have a lot more to test. 8 kilometers is an awful long way. And it's not just the length of this anomaly. It's the mineralization being at or near surface, high grade, with a gold mine, Cherished Hope, sat right in the middle of this project area that was previously mined, with fine dumps left on site that we can process for residual gold. The residual gold is circa 1 gram a ton. Perfectly processable, and we're looking at that right now. So we have the gold at surface. We have a very long anomaly. We need to fully test this. Its size and scale once again, and it is again a majors project. It has that level of potential, which is a common theme within our business. We're looking to come back to market in the near future to outline our plans for this major opportunity. It is a unique project, one that we've taken forward at breathtaking speed, with the team working continuously for the last 18 months to move this forward, and it's very exciting for us to do so. Here's an example of some of the grades that we were pulling out from the recent RC drilling. And you'll see some quite staggering grades, up to 47 grams a ton gold from this project. Gold, of course, as a commodity, is a major driver in the junior resource space. It's almost as if people are waiting for gold to make that move before they start to invest in the sector. There is a tremendous opportunity for explorers that have quality gold projects. Actually quite difficult to get hold of them at the moment, and we feel with Tati we probably have one of the best. But it's not just nickel, it's not just gold. We also have a rather dramatic uranium project portfolio centered on the Athabasca Basin area in Saskatchewan, Canada. We have 12 properties covering 842 square kilometers of ground in and around the Athabasca Basin. And we vended 2 of those properties into uranium energy exploration, subject to deal crystallization and listing of that vehicle. But we still have 10 left, and we have plenty of opportunities to move this forward. We want to explore some of our exploration portfolio in the Athabasca. We also want to generate additional value as we move along. And this is something that I imagine will be quite easy to do, because the level of interest in uranium exploration is dramatic. There is no boom like a uranium boom. And the last one in 2006-7 generated billionaires. And it certainly generated lots of millionaires from amongst the normal private investor base. It's an area to focus on. Power Metal is about continuous exploration across its active portfolio. And we've undertaken 2 programs and a number of our properties in the Athabasca, generating extremely positive outcomes. It's great for us as we want to explore certain interests and take them as in-house projects, but it's also great when we're looking to vend, because the more work we can do across any of our projects, including uranium, increases the inherent value of those interests for any vend out that we wish to undertake. And you can see on the screen some of the results from the recent program, including uranium grade up to 4.7%. We're pushing ahead to do more work as soon as possible, obviously weather conditions permitting, and we're building and developing quite an extensive exploration program for 2023. But already the uranium portion of our business has tremendous diversity and implied inherent valuation based on what we see in the uranium space at the minute. We anticipate uranium prices will increase. I've seen predictions of up to $500 a pound. Good Lord, if that comes in, then we'll all be very happy indeed. And you can see on the screen there what happens in the real world in terms of uranium pricing, with major increases, as you can see on the chart, focused on 2006-7, where the uranium price went well over $100, made a lot of people very happy. We're ready for that moment in Power Metal, and we're building our portfolio accordingly, not just in the Athabasca, but in Africa and Australia, where opportunities allow. But it's not just nickel, it's not just gold, and it's not just uranium, it's also lithium. Now, I did hear the other day that anyone entering lithium at the moment is late to the party. Well, maybe you would be late to the party if it was 2050, but it's not. We've got a long way to go. The forward deficit on lithium, when you look at demand projected versus supply, is quite dramatic. We've had a lithium interest for about 18 months in the Ophir North property, which is sat adjacent to Sayona Mining's footprint, and that's in Quebec in Canada. We've done some initial work on that property, and we plan to do more work in 2023. We wanted to do a little bit more this year, but we simply ran out of time with all the activities across the business. So we will follow up next year. Recently, we staked the Northwind lithium project. Now, staking is where you go and secure the ground yourself. It's something we've done a lot in the Athabasca with the uranium properties, and it's something we intend to do quite a bit going forward with the lithium portfolio within our business. Staking is good because you can get great opportunities. You can draw from historic exploration undertaken and paid for by others. In fact, staking can be, alongside desktop research, some of the most effective effective and cost-effective routes to build a project portfolio. But this is Northwind, staked and announced a couple of weeks ago. It actually was one of those announcements that sent the share price of the company rising quite strongly, and rather vast amounts of volume to come in on that particular day. So clearly UK investors still love lithium. So here's a summary of some of the work that we've undertaken to date for both Ophir North and for the Northwind project. Across our portfolio of interests, which are much larger than I'm showing you tonight, we have done work. In our business, where we're focused on generating value through spin-outs and through disposals, doing work increases the value of the project. In the area of our business where we're focused on exploring ourselves, it's important that we push ahead and make progress as quickly as we can. We are moving, in our view, into a major resource sector uplift cycle. It's better to be prepared where we possibly can. And we all talk in the sector about lithium and the economic drivers, and it's probably one of the best examples of a deficit between the demand that's clearly coming down the pipe and the available supply. A number of other commodities within our portfolio have quite similar dynamics, and that is why we're focused on critical metals around the world. We also recognize the importance of communications. We issue news via RNS, as is the requirement of being a listed company. We also produce a rather vast amount of other materials that's available on our website, and you can access all of the information about the company at powermetalresources.com, including some reports on tungsten, uranium, lithium, and nickel. If you have any questions about our business as we seek to build this from a company with a valuation in the 20 millions of pounds into something dramatically larger, you have any questions along the way as an investor, we will address them for you. You can call us, you can email us, and you can send us a message on Twitter. Wherever possible, we will try to answer the queries that you have. Whether you invest £1,000, £100,000, or £1 million, although I'm not entirely sure you would get that amount of stock on market that easily, then you are equally important to us. My mobile phone number is on all market news announcements. We are hiding from no one. Thank you very much.
Excellent. And on that note, there's already been some questions coming through, so we will put that those rather noble words from Paul into practice here. There's quite a simple question here, but I think it's one that's worth taking. And I know you mentioned something about bonanza, potential gold bonanza. So we might already have had a hint at this one. Paul, which project do you think has the most potential to be a blockbuster amongst the portfolio? What's the one you're the most excited about?
Well, that's a great question because there's more than one. We haven't built this business as a single project vehicle, but you're hoping everything will go okay. And I can't actually think of a worse thing to do, to be honest, in today's world where things do go wrong across individual projects, in individual countries, all the time. We're seeing some fantastic data coming out from Malopo. It's a hell of a risk. These major discoveries that you see, very commonly they're not done in the first few drill holes. I heard recently about quite a large discovery in Australia where it took 68 holes to get to the main discovery hole. Juniors won't get support from the market for that kind of program generally. We've done in Malopo, I think we did 3 holes in the first program a couple of years ago. We're on to our 4th hole now. We're going to do another one. And we're getting some fantastic results based on that level of drilling. So for us, the discovery itself is fantastic. The fact that it is a majors project, then interest, of course, from third-party organization in the project is a dramatic thing. It will be for our investors. So that's great. Tata is a knockout of the park in terms of bring a project in, work on it relentlessly, which is what we did. We did it even before we exercised the option. We had extensive work programs. It's an 8-kilometer long gold in soil anomaly. It is dramatic. It's shallow. It's relatively straightforward to extract. We think it could go down at some depth. It certainly has some length to it, and it has high grade near surface with a processing facility within 10 minutes drive. Or 15 minutes drive. It's perfect. So a big winner. But on a slightly different twist, some of the footprint packages that we've got, like Athabasca, I don't think there's any company currently in the UK focused on the Athabasca, one of the world's prevalent uranium exploration mining jurisdictions. We've got 12 properties, 840 square kilometers of ground, just the dramatic opportunity in the uranium space. And the Victoria Goldfields, of course, with that 2,300. So different across our business, anything could surprise. Now, if we were a 100 million cap right now, then, you might need something really meaty to get you moving. You might need a couple of projects to kick off to get you moving. But with our current valuation of where we are, we need either general sentiment to lift. We need a real positive outcome that the market recognizes in one project, or something similar. So we're in a good position.
Excellent. And then I know I mentioned at the top that some of our viewers are investors and like to come with questions. So there's one here from someone that certainly implies they're already invested in Power Metal. They welcome the exploration work that's been going on, but they say it hasn't increased the share price. But of course, it is placing a demand on the capital. And the question here from the viewer is, is there really the capability there to do future fundraising, without diluting, what's already there beyond a level that would be acceptable? So, if the shareholders are going to see the capital going down, at what point do they expect to see the share price going up?
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is a great question. It's one as a proud investor over the years. I felt the pain of, you do look sometimes at progress in a business and think, why is it not being reflected in market value? Well, the market is a completely different beast. I am a believer that market valuations eventually catch up to reality. But the truth is, we're in a cyclical space. Many Power Metal, many of its peers, mainly hopefully quality peers, will be undervalued at the moment. The valuation shift will occur. Many of the companies will end up dramatically overvalued, I'm sure. And it doesn't necessarily closely correlate with the progress of the business. We have made some major steps forward in our investment portfolio, in our exploration activities in recent months, but we've seen a decline in our share price. Now, that doesn't mean that in the next week the share price doesn't go up 100%, or any other movement in the price. It's just the market. And I've tried to focus my time as CEO, as I try to focus my time, I don't have much of it as a private investor, on just looking for, is the company performing as I wanted it to in terms of its operations? Is it making progress? Is it doing the things I expected to see it do? Do they show the commitment and growth that I want to see? And then, generally in my private investing life, that it's really come good for me as a shareholder. Now is the time, I think, to be positioning in some of the better junior resource shares. It doesn't feel a good time. It feels horrible. But when it feels great, it's probably not the best time to invest.
And there's a specific here question about nickel, and I know this is something you mentioned about T13 and the discovery there. You've got the nickel sulfides. The question has said should we assume that this is the first time that visible nickel sulfides have been found?
Oh no, that's a really great question, because no, it's not. We have announced that in other areas as well, and that's what makes it interesting, because you're not actually seeing just a single area where you have this. It's across more than one target area of the project, and I think as I saw recently, a couple of years ago, quite an experienced geologist in a resource company saying that when we drill our project, if we get a sniff of sulfides, the majors will be all over us. I've seen from personal experience the demand of large firms looking to take investments in projects such as ours, that they want to see diamond drill core so they can actually inspect and examine themselves. And as you start to build this picture way above the surface with the airborne work, and then down on the surface with the ground geophysics, and then with the downhole geophysics and with the drill holes and and the drill core and the analysis, not just assay testing, but other things as well, you start to build a picture that becomes, if you have the right indicators, very attractive. So no, it's not the first time. It's not the only project T13, and we're really pleased that it isn't the only project, the only target. We're pleased that it's not the only target.
Yeah. And there's also a question about the timelines for the IPOs. In the view of the questioner, news on the various IPOs has been thin on the ground, although understandably. And they say, what do you wait for? They say, surely you aren't waiting for the market to turn before launching? ?
Well, I think you probably should wait for a market that's conducive to a listing before you try to do it. Otherwise, it's a bit like operational suicide. If you know it cannot be done, then don't do it. It doesn't mean you switch everything off. You stay prepared, you stay ready, and you stay in a position where you can move quickly. That said, we are pushing ahead. Golden Metal Resources is, I would say, in a lead position at the moment, and we're cracking on with that. There's a process to finish off IPO preparation, including an IPO financing, and also just a few administrative things to get that listing done, and the approvals of the exchanges that you're dealing with, of course, that's important as well. They do take a fair old while, it has to be said, and perhaps slightly longer than I anticipated. It's an extremely thorough process. With Golden Metal, we had to undertake some corporate restructuring to simplify the holding company structure, and that did take some time. There were various other machinations of the listing process that people may not be familiar with that take time, and it's quite difficult to explain because you're not really supposed to talk about the listing exchange much. It's not a preferred thing for you to do. You're not meant to do too much proactive work that could change the listing package, as it were. So you have to be a little bit careful, and you certainly have to be controlled in your communications. And that's what we have been, even though, as you saw with the lithium focused exploration at First Development Resources we announced recently, we are still pushing things forward where we can. So I do empathize, whatever the phrase is, on investor frustration with regard to slower communications on IPO vehicles and time it takes, but we are focused on getting it right because this is a very valuable part of our business going forward.
Mm-hmm. And one last specific one here that I'm going to try squeeze in. Tati RC holes were limited to circa 50 million. Are we now planning to go deeper to see what lays beneath? And do we have any EM surveys to support deeper drilling?
Oh, well, there's some great questions on here tonight. That is, we are going to outline our plans in detail in the not too distant future for Tati. We're really pushing that one forward as fast as we can. But it's absolutely no brainer to say, yes, we plan to go deeper. I mean, it's obvious that we'd want to do that. It is shallow, high grade stuff that we've been examining recently, but there's every intent to go deeper. And that will be, we believe, very revealing. There is a variety of other work that we want to do, but I probably won't be too specific on that until we make the market announcement.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Well, Paul, as ever, thank you for taking the questions head on and living up to your words in terms of being happy to take questions from your investors, and for giving us such a comprehensive and interesting update there. So Paul Johnson from Power Metal, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.